You're simply just being moved in position. Sometimes we enter the toughest seasons in our life, and sometimes we look at the seasons the wrong way. We look at the seasons as like Job's friends when they looked at Job and all that Job was going through. And all of his friends, they were saying basically, you have done something wrong. Most of them, they were saying, you must have done something wrong. This is the reason why you're in this situation. This is the reason why you're dealing with what you're dealing with. But as we read the story of Job, we understand that his friends, they had it all wrong. And if we're not careful, we will begin to believe what we see, and we would also believe what we hear. The Bible actually says, one of my favorite scriptures is that bad company corrupts good character. You have to be careful who you surround yourself with, especially in this season, because I believe in this season that God is positioning you and preparing you. And if you are not careful, you will look at the situation that you're dealing with as punishment instead of preparation. In my Bible study class that I just taught, we're talking about Joseph, and we're talking about everything that Joseph's going through and everything that Joseph went through, and how it was all preparation. It was the process that God was putting him through to prepare him. And so we have to be careful that the situations that God puts us in, we don't look at them the wrong way. We don't look at preparation as punishment, but we look at it for what it is. It is simply God preparing us. So how do we know that God is preparing us, right? Because it's not like God's always going to whisper in our ear and say, listen, I'm preparing you. But most of the time, you have to have that inner knowing that no matter what situation that you find yourself in, you understand and you know that God will never leave you nor forsake you. You understand that there are some positions in our life, uncomfortable positions, that God will allow us to get to and get into because he trusts how we'll handle the situation. He trusts how we handle the season. So going back to Job, if we look at Job and we look at everything that Job went through, we can gather that God trusted him with pain and that God trusted him with a tough season. And so what I wanted to tell you today is to trust the process, that you are being prepared for something greater. You are being prepared, just like Joseph was, to be put over people, that may not have done you right, to be put over people that may have, prayed for your downfall. But as we talked about in Bible study, what are you going to do when God positions you in that position? When he puts you in a place where you can bless somebody that you really don't want to bless. When he puts you in a place that you can do for somebody that you really don't want to do for. Because these are the people that God called, not the people that's just going to be there for people because they were there for them, but that's actually going to serve on every single level. So I wanted to encourage you today to keep on pushing, no matter what it feels like, no matter what it seems like. To keep on pushing, because at the end of the day, God is preparing you for something greater. So that means the tears make sense. That means the sleepless nights, they're going to make sense. That means some of the pain that we deal with, that's going to make sense in the end, because in the end, it is producing something in us. Like everything that God allows us to go through, it has to produce something. God is not going to just put you through for the sake of putting you through, but he's putting you through so that you can experience him in a whole nother way. He's putting you through so that he can bring you up higher. He's putting you through so that you can be relevant to people even around you. So don't look at your situation as, well, maybe I did this wrong, or maybe this is because of what I did 10 years ago, or maybe this is because of what I did 20 years ago. And going back to the story of Joseph, that's what his brother did. They like, listen, we have to deal with this situation, what's going on right now. When they saw Joseph for the first time again, was it simply because of what we did to Joseph, right? And they didn't know that they were in front of Joseph at that time. So don't always connect the dots with what you're dealing with what happened in your past. Sometimes they connect and sometimes they don't. It could just simply be the process that God is putting you through to become who he wants you to be. Not who the world wants you to be, but who he wants you to be. So you have to stay focused, right? You have to stay in your prayer. You have to stay faithful. You have to stay committed, right? Continue to lean on God. Continue to trust him, even in those tough times, the good times too, but also even, in the tough times, in the times when you are unsure, in the times where you really don't know what to do. You have to continue to lean on God. Even when you do know what to do, you have to still lean on God. So right now, you have to understand that you are being prepared, you are being positioned because you are part of purpose. And because you are part of purpose, we understand that all things have to work together for your good, right? Because that's what the word of God says. So everything that you're going through, everything that you're dealing with, everything that you're facing is somehow, in the end, God is saying that it's going to work out for you. But there is a part that you have to play. And the part that you have to play, you have to trust him. You have to believe him. Understand that whatever you did, whether in the past, whether in the present, when you ask God for forgiveness, he forgives you. So now it's your job to put down whatever you've been carrying. Stop always connecting the dots to things in your past to what you're dealing with right now. It's simply God preparing you for greater. God is preparing you to take you higher. God is preparing you to position you in a place that man cannot take you from. So I wanted to encourage you today to hold on, to keep on trusting God, to keep on leaning on God, even when it seemed like it doesn't make sense, even when it seemed like nothing's happening, even when it seems like you continue to do good for people and they continue to do evil towards you. So you have to ask yourself, am I doing what I'm doing for God, or am I doing it for people? And when you do it for God, you don't really look for the response from people. Yes, sometimes when people do you wrong and they do things to you that you didn't expect to come from them, it hurts, it stings. But my question to you is, what do you do after the sting? What do you do after they already did the worst to you? Because at the end of the day, you're still called. You're still God's child. You are still somebody that God is positioning. And again, as we talked about it in Bible study, sometimes God will use, I'm not even going to say sometimes. I'm going to say God is going to use anybody to push you forward. And the thing about it is, we look at the story of Joseph and we see that it was his brothers that tried to kill him that pushed him closer to his destiny. When we look at Jesus, we see it was Judas that betrayed him that pushed him to Calvary, right? So no matter, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be, somebody that you connected with, right? Whoever God uses, or even the enemy, whoever is used to push you closer to your destiny, celebrate that. It's not going to always feel good with who it comes from, but just know that all things are working together for your good, right? For the good to those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So just understand that you are right where you're supposed to be. A lot of people always say, and you may have been one of the ones too, that if I would have made this decision in the past the right way, if I didn't go down this street, if I didn't go down that street, then I would be further along. Is that you? I would be further along on my journey than I am now. But I like to remind people that every part of your journey brought you to where you are today. So don't look at some past mistakes and say, if I did this, then I would be further along. Celebrate where you are right now. Because I like to tell people all the time, whatever mistake that you've made in the past, if you learned from it, then every mistake was worth it. If you didn't learn from it, then it wasn't worth it. But as long as you learn from it, every mistake, everything that was done, it was worth it. So I wanted to encourage you today to, one, understand that you're not being punished, that you are being positioned. So understanding that you are being positioned, walk in that, right? Trust God in the process. Listen, if you love this video, thumbs up this video, let people know that we are sharing the word of God. We are encouraging people. And I want to encourage you to keep on showing up, because I believe that when you show up, God does too. God bless you.